to another reading, almost the end of the month here, from the Science of Mind magazine, the Daily Guides. First of all, my apologies to everyone that I was not able to successfully bring Danielle Mercadal on the broadcast yesterday. We're going to try again tomorrow. I'm going to try from another app, as I mentioned then. So just keep your fingers crossed and just know, just know that it's going to work, and it will work. Today is reading, the second from the last one for this month is called I Am Grateful. I am grateful. First quote is from Thurgood Marshall, who should not need any introduction. Thurgood Marshall, who says, where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country. This is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on. And Ernest Holmes at Silmar says, only when we speak from the heart do we speak from the heart. Only when we speak from the heart do we speak from the heart. And let me see if I can move this along. This speaking from the heart from Reverend Andriette, this is speaking from the heart. She's really speaking from the heart with today's message. She says, I was extremely grateful and a bit overwhelmed to accept this opportunity to write the daily guides for Black History Month. I began with great enthusiasm, meditating and visioning, and then researching many of the well-known and several less well-known contributors to Black history. I created a spreadsheet detailing the individuals, organizations, legislation, and historical events that immediately responded to my visioning intuition. I had some 60 entries of notable Black contributors to consider and prepare to share with you over these 29 days. Among these possibilities were some of my all-time favorites, and I just knew they would be included. However, as I surrendered to this discovery process, I began to let go of my affinities and preferences. I commenced writing what wanted to be written. She says, I was shocked and somewhat dismayed when some of those Black history stories featured non-Black contributors. My heart knew they must be included. My mind was caught up in arithmetic, calculating how many fewer Black voices would be heard and stories told if I used these precious 29 pages in this way. My heart and my mind embraced, and they collaborated on loving creative ways to include everyone called to be a part of this year's Black History Month's Daily Guides. She says, this is also a testament to how prayer, visioning, and meditation work. The late Representative John Lewis came through strong. I recall that a few months before his death, he was on the Edmund Pettus Bridge during the 55th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, and he said, quote, speak up, speak out, get in the way, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. This coming back to the Ernest Holmes quote, she says, he said, only when we speak from the heart do we speak from the heart. And that might seem kind of overly obvious, but the truth is that sometimes we claim to speak from the heart, but we don't. We're speaking from our emotions. You know, I do lots of family mediations. A lot of these are some are easy, some are really contentious. And what I find is that a lot of the time people are not speaking from facts, they're speaking from emotions. This morning I was on a 4.5 hour refresher course, relearning actually, and being reminded about parts of the Texas Family Code, which governs what goes on in these kinds of situations. And I do remember the pointing out that often disagreements can come down to really wacky things, such as arguing over a set of gold clubs, for instance, when thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars have been agreed. And I also know that I'm really tempted to intervene, but I'm not allowed to give advice. That's one of the rules of this kind of mediation. I'm not allowed to give advice. And I'm often conflicted. And I can imagine how Reverend Andriette was conflicted when she really wanted to concentrate, rightfully, on just concentrating on what Black voices had to say throughout the past several hundred years. And I can imagine how conflicted she was when she found that some of the voices that she was being led to actually talk about or include were white people who were part of the race that oppressed the Black people. But then she actually did what we do when we go into spiritual mind treatment, and what we're supposed to do when we go into spiritual mind treatment, which is allow spirit to speak through us. So I know for a fact that when I do a treatment and I really don't remember much about what happened afterwards, that they're the best treatments. Why? Because they've not come from my brain, my ego. They've come straight from source. So I know they work. So this is what Reverend Andrea was doing today. She was allowing spirit to speak through her, even though part of her actually just wanted to include Black people and no white people. But then spirit was telling her, no, you need to include these people. And in all due credit to her, she moved her ego to one side and she did what she was led to do from her heart and not from her ego, which was really kind of cool. So I am incredibly grateful that she was able to do this from her heart. And that's what we're being told to do all the time. So when we're faced with situations where we find something is being done and it's unfair, then even though part of us just wants to keep quiet, our heart's telling us, listen, you need to intervene, you need to say something, then that's what we ought to do. But instead of reacting and just believing that, then what we do is we take a little bit of silence, we go into our silence, and then we allow what wants to be said, which is exactly what Reverend Andriette did for this reading, which I think is admirable. We're going to try again tomorrow to bring Danielle on because she's a great voice. She's a great poet. I don't know if she's going to read poetry tomorrow for us or if we're just going to discuss it. Actually, we had a really, really good discussion after the broadcast yesterday. And I only wish we'd recorded it because this is really what I wanted to appear on the broadcast. But going into my mind, I'm going to look at it this way. Maybe there's a reason that Spirit did not want us to do that, that Spirit speaking through us wants us to do something else tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm open to putting aside what I want and just allowing Spirit to speak through me. And I know that Danielle's doing the same thing. So that's really all I got to say, except for the affirmation. The affirmation is I envision freedom, equality, justice, and prosperity for all. There you go. I envision freedom, equality, justice, and prosperity for all. Need you ask for any more? And I envision for each one of you freedom, equality, justice, and prosperity now and for all time. So until next time, thank you for the opportunity to bring these daily guides to you. As I said, Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and knowing that Spirit will work with us, Daniel Mercadal and I will be on tomorrow evening, somewhere between 5 and 7. You know, we both have busy days tomorrow. We'll see how it works out, but we will be on. So watch out for us. Until next time, namaste.